That was beautiful. I see a question in the back. What's up? Well, what a well-timed question, David. Yes, I think that's an excellent idea. Let's all silence our phones. Well, welcome everyone. Good morning. Even though it doesn't seem like such a nice morning weather-wise outside, inside we are warm and dry and together. So anyway, if you don't know who I am, I'm Megan Rancier. I'll be presenting service today. Tina Jones, Lisa Merrill Price, and Steve Israel are providing technical assistance, so thank you to them. And Laura Schutze is our pianist today, so thank you to her. Please be aware we are recording this service and it will be posted on our YouTube page. For privacy, we do not record or post joys and concerns. Also, we save announcements for the end of the service after extinguishing the chalice. We seek inspiration and meaning from a great many faith traditions and philosophies. We support each other's lifelong spiritual journey, and we encourage work for justice and peace. We value open minds and loving hearts. Here may our minds stretch, our hearts open, and our spirits deepen. Now, today is a different kind of format where we are going to have our usual chalice lighting and opening and closing readings, but this is going to be a more discussion-based service. So I have these little cards for everyone. Don't worry about them yet, but everyone's going to get a card that has a color and a number. I will explain later what those mean, but right now I'm just going to take a moment to hand out cards. So just hang on to this. So I don't see any new people, so I'm going to skip the new people greeting. But let's all take a moment to greet our neighbors. You all quieted down beautifully before I even rang the bell, so thank you. So the chalice will be lit today by Ann Gill. Thank you, Ann. Robust applause, yes. Okay. So please join me in reading the words provided for the lighting of the chalice. Here we go. We light this chalice, mindful of the needs we have, the need for one another, the need to be heard and acknowledged and understood, the need to understand and to love deeply, we light this chalice, symbol of our faith, beacon of our hope, touchstone of our connectedness. May we bring all of who we are and who we are meant to be to this time together. Yeah. All right. So now we are going to have our time for the sharing of joys, concerns, and milestones. Tina, if you could please pause the word today, come from an excerpt from Father Richard Rohor in Quest for the Grail. In the spiritual life, nothing goes away. There is no heavenly garbage dump. It's all here, wherever we are. Everything belongs. Even forgiveness does not mean it goes away. It means we forgive it for being there, nothing more. Even our demons do not go away. As Robert Bly wisely said, you don't get rid of demons, you just educate them. All right, so now we get to the interactive portion of today's service. And I'm going to give Monica a card. So today we invite you to tell a story, your story, about your spiritual journey and how you came to be here at MVUUC. In a few minutes, we will break into small group clusters, moving our chairs to face one another in circles. We will pose 2 questions, giving each person an opportunity to respond to the first prompt before moving on to the second one. Be sure to allow a moment of silence between each sharing. Responding to each other with silence can feel awkward, but it makes room for the one speaking to hear themselves. The group can then open itself to a time of sharing reactions. And I also have one more request, that for each of the discussion questions, one person in the group sort of volunteer to report to the large group, just a summary or a highlight reel of what you talked about. Okay? So just a few ground rules before I give you the instructions. We ask that rather than responding to each other with fixing, advising, or saving, we hold out gratitude for one thing that struck us in particular as we listened, and hold up how it connected to our lives and helped us clarify something about our own situation. The conversation should move from one place to another in the circle, not getting dominated by 1 or 2 voices who speak at length. So, try to limit your responses to maybe 3 minutes, if you can. I know, open circle people, this is your wheelhouse right here. So we endeavor to listen deeply, speak deeply, release a sense of outcome, step up and step back, allow everyone an opportunity to answer the question before sharing again, uphold confidentiality, and honor those who choose to listen only rather than to speak. That is perfectly fine. So, does everyone have an index card? All right, so hold up your card. Anybody who doesn't have one? Okay. So, look at your index card. Each card has a color and a number, yes? Okay. So, discussion groups for question 1 will be people who have the same color card. Discussion groups for question 2 will be people who have the same number on their card, okay? 2 different groups, but for each group is going to have about 4 people. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like front.
What about people on Zoom?
That's your left, front center, front right, back left, back center, back right. So we're going to set up little circles of 4 chairs, and we're going to discuss each question in our small groups together before moving on to our question 2 discussion groups. So if everybody could stand, if you don't mind, let's create 6 groups of 4 chairs, and I'll help you. So our question 1 groups are going to be by color, okay? So the front left is going to be the yellow group. Front center is going to be blue. Front right is going to be purple. The back left will be green. Back center is red. And that should be everybody. If you need to add a chair, yeah. Okay.
So this is Tina, if you can hear me. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Blue is front center. Great. Yes.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Tina.
It's good to hear you.
No, you're front and center. There you are. Yep.
As soon as
Good.
when Megan
All
leaves
right.
the
So
podium, we'll be
here's
able
our
to hear
first
each other
question.
better. Hi, Charlie.
And thank you, Tina, for she's moderating the online group. Our first discussion question that you're going to talk about in this group, your color card group, is describe your religious or spiritual background and experiences up to this point in your life. And yes, if you could choose somebody in your group to share a brief summary, that would be great. But let's take the next, I'll check in 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Just share with each other about this question.
Okay. Does anyone want to go first?
Can you turn on our cameras?
Yeah. Do you need me to do that, or do you need?
I'll try. I think I'm locked.
I think I gave permission. Let me see.
Okay.
This is Melanie, and you won't see me because I'm on the phone.
Right. There's Charlie. Yeah,
Hi, Charlie.
Megan's here too.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Sorry I didn't come in today, but Laura's here.
But what?
Laura's here. My daughter's here.
Oh,
Hi,
Okay.
Laura.
No,
hold on, I'm
she's
gonna turn
not
up my
doing
volume.
something.
There we go. And Melanie's here.
Yeah, I always know her phone number. Brittany, J.D. Reeves, and the projector. Okay. Okay, now what? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Charlie.
Melanie,
I
you
don't-
want to start?
Tina,
You keep,
what's going on?
you're fading out or something, Tina.
It could be because it's so loud in here.
And for me, you're breaking up.
I can hear Melanie. She can hear me, I think.
Yes.
And I can't hear anything from Brittany or JD Reeves. They're silent.
They don't have their they don't have their sound on.
What?
They don't have their microphone on.
No, we can't hear you, dear.
I mean, you're breaking up and you're faded.
All right, we're gonna try to go to the office and do it there.
Question is, can you hear us?
You said something about doing something else. Oh well.
but we can talk to each other.
Sure.
I don't know what your spiritual journey is or your spiritual beliefs.
Megan, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear both of you.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
can hear
Then you
you.
can moderate, Megan.
Well, why don't you go first, Melanie?
Will you report for us,
Yes, sure.
Megan? Okay. Well, my mom was Catholic, Peruvian, but something happened when she was 12, and her father took them out of the church. So when she came to the United States, she was, I guess, a non-denominational Christian. She made sure that we went to most of the churches in town, and that included the Unitarian, which she really liked. And she sent us to religious education, and I've always remembered that. So I would say that I'm a Christian UU. Before I went to the Unitarian, I was part of the Center for Conscious Living. I didn't quite meet my needs because it seemed a little bit judgmental, and that our thinking kind of made us sick, and it seemed blameful. So I thought, why don't I try the Unitarian Church again, because I remembered it fondly from religious education. So I joined, and it has suited me very, very well.
Awesome. Thanks,
Any
Melanie.
more from that? Or?
Charlie, do you want to go next?
Sure. Well, I grew up Jewish, and my wife grew up Jewish, and that was fine where we were originally. I went to a Orthodox Hebrew school, and I did all that stuff, and I was bar mitzvah and everything. And then when I came to college, there was a Jewish group here. But when we got married and we moved to New Jersey, there was really nothing there, especially when we came here. There's no Jewish group, there's no temple in Bowling Green. So we went to Toledo for a while, the Reformed Church, Reformed Synagogue. That's where my aunt went. And but I was a young faculty member, and so we went up on Sundays, but I didn't. I hadn't time to do anything, and so after a while, Barb met Wendy Mills. Wendy Mills and I, if you ever met her. But anyway, well, Keith plays. Anyway, never mind. Anyway, so she got drawn to the First United Methodist Church, and so then she eventually converted to being Methodist. I went there, never converted, but I loved the people. In fact, we first met the people when we first came to Bowling Green because we were all in an encounter group together. That was the big thing in the early 70s, 69 and 70s, encounter group. And then after that, we found the Unitarian Church up in up at the Veterans Building. And we've been there ever since because it felt the right thing for us. So that was our journey.
Megan,
And
you
I
want to
remember
share?
you.
What?
Thanks, Charlie. Tina was inviting me to go next. Sure, I'll go real quick. I was raised Episcopalian. My family went to a small Episcopal church in Pennsylvania. They'd been going there, right up into, before I was born. So basically, it was our family church, and I grew up in that church. It was a very pleasant experience. And I just I think I saw it as more of a family activity than like an actual spiritual or religious activity. I didn't actually connect with the religious stuff, but I liked being involved in something and seeing the same people every week. But then when I went to college, I realized that it wasn't really what I believed. And so I just sort of uh, tried different things over the next few years. And then um, when I came to Bowling Green, I lived here for about 5 years, and I started feeling like I wanted more community connection. And so that's when I started coming to MVUUC. Tina, what's your story?
I am the baby by 10 years in my family, but the youngest of four. And my sisters and brother were brought up in the Catholic tradition with confirmations and everything else. Very Irish Catholic family. And by the time I came around, my parents were like, whatever. So I would go to church with my cousins, with friends. Sometimes I'd walk across the street to where there was a Catholic church and go myself. But it never felt like, I always felt like an outsider. So I tried different churches for many years, and even Buddhism, and
So this is your maybe
going to some
3-minute
other
heads
things.
up. I don't want to rush anyone, but in about 3 minutes, we're going to move on.
In my late 20s, I went to a wedding at a Unitarian church in Ann Arbor, and I started reading some of the literature around the building, and I went, this is pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. So I became a member there, but then I had kids, and kids who did not like to stay in RE. So we didn't go to church for a long time, and then I took Lisa's advice and started coming here. And Lisa and I have been friends for like 25 years. And I love it here. Not only am I working here, but I chose to become a member because I love the community.
Thanks, Tina. Um, okay, I'm taking notes. Um, in about 2 minutes, we're going to switch groups. The people in person are going to switch groups. So I'm going to go facilitate that a little bit, but feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Well, now that you got it to work so they can hear you, maybe I'll just come back and do it from there so
Sounds good.
I can control the microphone too. All right.
I was going to say when Charlie was talking that I remember him from my childhood because I remember learning about Judaism, and I remember going to a service in which the menorah was lit. All those things are what drew me back. Just remembering those things and studying about Yahweh. See, I'm a person who does love the divine. I believe in the divine. And that, I think that sets me off a little bit from a lot of people at the Unitarian Church. I'm not sure, but it seems that way to me. And it's probably because that's how I've been and my work. When I was a kind of a spiritual energy practitioner, I've had experiences where I feel that there is something. But what you call it, I don't know. I just call it the divine or the great sacred mystery. So I'm glad to be able to have that belief system and be with the Unitarian Church.
Now, well, I remember your mother, and I might have even remembered you when you were a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you went to the same church?
No, her mother
Yeah.
taught, I believe, was dancing.
Oh.
Yeah. He did.
My kids went to learn dancing.
He taught creative arts, creative dance, preschool, and she had a lot of children who were troubled. She got known for that, and so I think that's why she was so community oriented. She took us to so many different kinds of churches, not Buddhism, but I did experience a little bit of that because I went to the Buddhist temple for Aikido, wanted to learn that, and I never did, but I like all the mixture because I feel they all contribute. Judaism contributes, and I keep learning, so I like that too.
I forget what I read that talked about how, what if the divinity presents himself or herself or itself as all these different things in different parts of the world. And I never forgot that, that it's Yahweh or that it's the Buddha, that the divinity is all these things, different facets of it. And I kept thinking to myself, how could only Christians, only Catholics be correct and go to heaven? And everyone else in the world.
Okay, everyone.
No. That was
I thought that way too.
You have, okay, the group with 5 people, not surprisingly, that takes more time. So let's take 3 more minutes. I apologize.
I thought that way too, Tina. That's why I really like it. And I think there's something about the way we all think, because no one thinks the same. So even among Christians, among Jews, nobody thinks the same. So there's interpretations of things, and I think that whatever is divine is part of that and accepts it,
Yep, that well said.
And I just came across something that called it universal consciousness. And I had never thought about it that way. If the divine is universal consciousness, some kind of consciousness that stays always. And somehow, because scientifically I don't know how it works, how things get born and created, but I suppose when we think we're creating, we get ideas and then we build things. So that's possible to me.
That sounds interesting. I'm trying to keep my microphone off so you guys don't hear the cacophony. So to summarize, what could we say for the summary when we share here in a minute?
Well, it seems like we all come from a journey of maybe different beliefs from Unitarian, either Jewish or Christian or a mixture, even Buddhism. And then that's kind of why Unitarian Universalism fits us, because we did have these experiences of trying all these different things, or growing up a certain way with Judaism and trying Christianity, and so I don't know, that's what it seems to me.
Yeah.
Somehow we were all brought together here.
Thank you for offering that. Maybe that's what I'll share.
there'll be a question number 2.
After a brief debriefing of the groups, they're going to put up question number 2. For you to have some time to think about it, it's what has motivated you to stay with MVUUC over time, or what brought you specifically to Maumee Valley in the first place, rather than like the one in Toledo or whatever.
Yeah.
So that, she's getting our attention.
I always hate to interrupt when I see the conversations are really lively, but I'm going to ring the bell decisively now. Apologies for the interruption. So now, if this is not too impossible a task to ask, if each group has a designated summarizer, can that person give us a maybe 1-minute summary of a few of the things you talked about? Let's start with Susan.
Tina, can you get us a view of all this?
Well, when we discussed everything, we started out with where were you at when you were born in terms of what religion were you born into, because that was a good starting point. And we found that the majority of the group came from a Protestant tradition, and another part of the group came from really more of an agnostic but with a Catholic background. And so as we talked about our growth in our spiritual lives, one member of the Protestant group was very even and absorbed new traditions and enjoyed religion, and another member of the group was sort of not really actively involved in religion, and another person went haywire and went full evangelical, and then another one was just kind of suspicious of what she was being taught. Yeah, it's all women, so you can't tell who. But it was interesting how everybody just kind of went in different directions from where they were born and what they came away with it at this point in life. And it's funny because we're sort of all in the same place, and yet we came from such varied backgrounds.
Beautiful. Kelsey, I saw your hand up earlier, so I'm going to run over here. Everybody else be thinking about your summaries.
So we have, my background is former Church of Christ turned pagan turned UU, and then we had 2 Methodists and a Presbyterian, as well as somebody who studied religion because of their own background. The general gist of the group, if I can just really summarize very quickly, is that all of us have been involved in the UU Church for several years by this point, and how we discovered it varies from person to person. Like, I found it through a LGBT pride event in a very deep red part of Ohio, and the rest of us all found UU through family members or romantic partners who introduced us to the church or to UU as a group, and we've been just kind of stuck with that ever since.
Well said. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Sue.
All right, so we talked about all of us had been raised in some sort of a church, and the churches were mostly Christian, but all of us had some sort of doubts about what we were being taught along the way, things that just didn't sit right with us. We had one person who was seeing things in media and very much identified with the Native American religions of the earth, and felt that that was a very important part to their journey. So as we all journeyed and got out of, what our families were teaching us, we all came to, okay, well, this is where I am. I understand that's my background, but this is where I am, which brought all of us to UU because we all share the values of the principles that are here. Did I do good? I did good.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sue. Greg.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, our theme here pretty much mirrored some of what we've heard already. Everybody pretty much started out in a traditional type religion, and in several cases reacted to the hypocrisy of that, left that with a seeking for a deeper spirituality. In one case, the experience was more positive early on, and the spirituality was there, but for whatever reason that dropped off, and then eventually there was another seeking for that deeper spirituality and that questioning. And that led people to looking at different things along the way, and eventually arriving at UU. And part of the connection seems to be that that seeking doesn't stop. The seeking just continues, and there's a welcoming of that seeking in the congregation and in UUs in general, and a willingness when we discover something that we're questioning, and it's going to, the answers that we're finding is going to lead us in a completely different direction. There seems to be a willingness to say, well, yep, okay, I'd better take a look in that direction. And so all of that kind of came together in how people ended up being here.
Very nice summary. Thank you, Greg. We got a summarizer, Buffy.
Well, we determined that 75% of us were raised Catholic, and 25% of us were raised in by the time they arrived in the family, sort of a laissez-faire Christian household that had been more involved before the arrival of that person into the family. 50% of us went seeking something different than what we were raised in when we began to question things. And then 25% of us sort of just fell into it by way of opportunity to be involved in activities here. And 25% of us kind of stumbled into another major religion, spent a lot of time there, raising a family in that religion, and then going, wait, what the heck? And then bailing on everything, rocking the boat, and then kind of tumbling in here on the shirt tail of another family member who moved on, but then left that said person here, and you're stuck with them. So here it is.
Thank you. These all seem to be a variation on a pretty classic UU story. And then we have our Zoom group. And would you like to summarize? Yeah? Okay. I took notes. So, but yeah, we had a similar conversation. We had one person coming from Catholicism, one person from Judaism, one person from Episcopalianism. Yeah, and then it seemed like there was a moment of discovery for each of us, like where we realized, oh, this thing exists called UUism. And that happened at various points in our lives. And some of us still identify with one or multiple aspects of a traditional religion, but UUism is what suited each of us the best. And like some of you have said, some of us were drawn in or invited in by friends or family. It didn't seem to be a totally individual journey, in summary. So, yeah, a lot of similar themes to what the other groups discovered. Okay, so you may not think we have time to discuss a second question, but this is going to be what I call our speed round. All right? So I would like everybody to look at their card, and now you're going to look for the number on your card, all right? And here's how we're going to do it. Ones are going to be front left. Twos are going to be front center. Threes are going to be front right. Fours are going to be back left, fours. And fives are going to be back center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And you guys are stuck with
All
me.
right. So, speed round. Okay. This question, there should be 4 5s, but David, if you're alone, why don't you join this group in the front? Oh yeah, you could split into 2 groups. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to reorganize a little bit. So, Laura, you didn't move. So, Laura, I'm going to move you. Here, can you go sit in David's circle? I'm sorry. We're just reorganizing a little bit. Okay.
Oh, he just went to the wrong
Uh-oh. That's what I planned, but so it should be 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. Yeah, you can join whatever group you want. Okay, so this is our speed round, and as you can see, the groups are a little bit bigger. So the key is speed here, and it's a very simple question that you might be able to answer in a single word. That's your challenge, but so, a phrase is fine. But here's the question. Briefly describe what initially brought you to MVUUC, and or what has motivated you to stay involved with MVUUC over time? So brief responses, if you can, but what brought you here, and or what has kept you here? I'll check in 5 minutes. Speed round.
All right, who wants to go?
I'll go. Very simply, it was location and people.
Hold on. Turn up my sound. I turned it down briefly. All right, Charlie, go ahead.
It was location and close
Location.
and people. We found them. Ideas. That's it.
Location and then the people.
Yeah, actually, that's not quite true. We originally joined with Perrysburg, wasn't it? Well, still the closest one. There was no
Right.
UU Bowling Green anymore. There was at one point, but it died. It was gone by the time we found it again up there. Anyway.
Well, I would agree with that, location and community, but more than that is that I feel I can contribute from my background, and I love being on the Sunday Services Committee. And even though I'm in New York, and that's probably where I'm going to end up living, I still want to be with you guys because you're my people.
Yeah. A sense of connection, right?
Yeah.
And, I told you guys already that Lisa was the reason I started coming here and coming regularly because I needed a second job and got the admin assistant. But when I got to know everyone and saw how things were run here and everyone's attitude and willingness to accept and support one another is probably the main reason why, I would want to stay. even though it's a drive.
Done? All right. Our first group is done over here.
What are Brittany
Let's
and
take
JD?
2 more minutes. 2-minute warning.
I see Brittany and JD Reed. Does their mic not work, or what? Did at least I see them on here?
So I don't know if they can hear or if they're really, maybe they just are choosing to listen. But Brittany and JD, if you want to join in, you can turn on your cameras and join in.
Please turn on your mic. Acknowledge you're here, or even put it in the chat.
Yeah, or in the chat. So JD,
Excuse me, can you hear me?
yeah, we can.
Okay, very good. Actually at Defiance, Ohio, and part of which brought me to UCC was certainly an accident more than anything else in kind of that church. At this point, I've listened and seen on a weekly basis, given my work schedule. And I've certainly found the people to be entertaining, insightful, and the like, and those are certainly the things that bring me back on a weekly basis. So that's sum up my perspective.
Thank you for sharing that. I've seen your name show up on the Zoom many times, but I wasn't sure of who you were or what your story was, but I appreciate you chiming in right now.
You're most welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, everyone, our speed round is about to end.
Thanks, Brittany,
So
for
while
sharing in the
other
chat.
groups are wrapping up their discussion, instead of having a summary, maybe each group could shout out 1 or 2 things that came up during their discussion. So this group, what kinds of things came up for folks?
We were brought here by our welcoming song, Employment, by They'll Take Anybody, by a spouse, and in our case, Freddie Falcon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, go ahead.
Openness, community, social justice, a sane Methodism, and in one case, a drive-by, a friend said, "Look, there's a UU church. Okay, let's go."
Sometimes that's all you need.
The unifying factor with this particular group was seeking out community in one way or another and then finding it here kind of unexpectedly, or in like a time of need. Like in one case, there was somebody who needed a funeral space and this church provided that. We also had somebody who had gone to a UU church and was like, "Oh, this is too formal." And other people were like, "Oh, yeah, this is definitely too formal. How about we just break off and form our own thing?" And that's how this happened. But there's the unifying factor is that sense of like we all wanted to find community, and then we came across it here, and we have stuck to it like barnacles.
UU Barnacles, I like it. That should be our mascot.
Community, values, welcoming atmosphere.
I would also say loneliness prompted the finding the community, and acceptance.
So online, some people said accident. For me, it was a job and a friend. And but we all stay for the people, the community, the sense of belonging, that these are our people. Location, proximity for some people, not me. Yeah, so, and that we're just an interesting group of people.
An interesting group of barnacles, yes. All right, excellent. So now our challenge becomes, how do we put our chairs back? So let's try to put the chairs just facing the front. They don't have to be in perfect rows, but let's all put our chairs facing front. And we are going to resettle ourselves with a song. I'll help. So hymn number 34. When you get back to your chair, find hymn number 34. If you can find a gray hymnal, turn to hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. And if you're not too tired, please stand as you're willing and able. Beautiful. Now please be seated. You might be sitting someplace very different than you started. Okay, we're going to quickly pass our offertory basket. All donations are gratefully welcomed. If you do automatic pledge payments, place one of the yellow cards, yada yada. If you want to make your contribution count toward your annual pledge, please put it in an envelope and write your name on the envelope so we know who to credit. Thank you. Now, while those are going around, I'm going to just go ahead and read our closing words. Our closing words today are from Dr. Janice Marie Johnson, excerpted from her essay in the book Beyond Welcome, Building Communities of Love. And heads up, we're going to be learning a few Zulu words. Among the Zulu-speaking communities of northern Natal in South Africa, the most common greeting, equivalent to hello in English, is the expression sawubona. So everyone repeat after me, please. Sawubona. Yeah, one more time. Listen to me and then repeat. Sawubona. Sawubona. Beautiful. It means, I see you. Sawubona. I see you. If you were a member of the community, you might reply by saying, Sikona. So let me hear you say that. Sikona. Sikona. Which means, I am here. Sikona. So let's try that. I'll say Salbona to you, and you say Sikona back to me. Ready? Salbona. Okay, I see you. I am here. The order of the exchange is important. Until you see me, it implies, I do not exist. Until you see me, I do not exist. This implication is part of the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. A frame of mind prevalent among the peoples of sub-Saharan Africa. The Zulu saying, Umuntu, Gumuntu, Gabantu, means a person is a person because of other people. This frame of mind brings richness into our communications and conversations, our discoveries, and the articulation of our dreams. And it's also a reminder of our fundamental principle of interdependence, through which we build connection and community, like we've done today. So please join me in reading the words provided for the extinguishing of our chalice. Together, we have enjoyed the warmth and beauty of stories, of this flame, and of this special community. As our chalice flame is extinguished this morning, we can still remember that its glow is carried within us. We can use our inner lights and this flame to kindle new sparks throughout our lives and in the world. May the spirit of peace and togetherness bless your lives. Now is time for announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Yes, Lisa, come on up. I have a quick one while she's walking up here. This month's film is going to be postponed. The film is Will and Harper. The date listed in the newsletter is January 11th, but I'm going to have to postpone that. So a new date will be advertised in the newsletter. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the fridge in the refrigerator in the kitchen is old and breaking, and it's a little sad. And Bob and I were fortunate enough to be able to purchase a new refrigerator, which is coming in January. So we have an old refrigerator that works perfectly, is bigger than that one, and newer than that one, and so we thought we would just donate it here. The problem is getting it here, because we have Priuses. So we need somebody with a truck. We will pay for gas. And bodies. This is important because refrigerators are heavy. So we need a truck and bodies to help move it here. January 9th is when our new refrigerator is coming, so it would have to be preferably really close to January 9th, like at latest January 10th or 11th, something like that. Yes. Yes, or a trailer, anything that would let us put a refrigerator on it and bring it. Yeah, if we need to. That's a little harder because it's cheap unless you live out in Deschler. Because it's time-based, it's like 75 minutes. So you have to get from the place to our house, which is 30 minutes, back to, yeah. So, but if I can't find someone who has one, we will go that route. But I thought I would check with the congregation. If you guys could check with people you know in the congregation, somebody you might know with a trailer or a truck, and that would be extremely helpful, and then we can get the stuff switched out, okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
I own an appliance dolly.
Okay.
So kind of strap a refrigerator on. So that could be helpful if we get a bigger.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa, for that donation. Okay, if there are no other announcements, let's do our closing song. This is going to be hymn number 359, When We Are Gathered. And again, if you are able and willing, please stand. Number 350. Okay, all the way through. everyone. Have a great day.